Alrighty, starting up a couple minutes early here with the late day Q&A for trade ideas. Give people a chance to get in, get set up, fire away your questions. Another very active day it looked like today all around. The mania of these stocks here that are just ripping and halting continues today. I have no piece of this, however. Barry's watch list gave quite an alert off that. Never in pain from it, but trading things like that is just not easy. I mean, you look at this time and sales, you look at the spread, not my cup of tea. But anyways, just really quite incredible today what we're seeing last Thursday, Friday. So keep it an open forum here. If anybody has questions, please fire away. What Trade Ideas is, what we do. If you're already a subscriber, something you need help you're working on, trying to figure out, all those things like that. And again, I started the stream a couple minutes early so we give people a chance to pile in here. Let's see what kind of crowd we can get to turn out for us today. Let's see. There's another one here. Big day ending on Friday. Big gap up today. Kind of just hung around on that gap up though today. Started to slip a little bit. Pulling back up now. Let's see what that means moving forward. Gapped up above that lifetime high where it closed on Friday. Pharmaceutical industry, you gotta be careful with those stocks holding something like that overnight. You can wake up and you're like this. You can wake up and you can be back down here though. So those are tricky ones. Tricky. Let's see what else. Something I'd been watching. Unfortunately, I did not get a piece of it. Just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes when you're watching a lot of things. Also was not anticipating a gap up like this on this, but I'd been watching this off here. Felt like this was pretty terrible line drawn there. I felt like this was a big deal. This level here kind of coincides with here. We had this big day, got a couple of sideways days, and then that was down, only to find a gap like this today. So just never set up for an entrance for me on it, unfortunately, but had itself quite a day today. Pretty clean looking chart overall. This gap up and got an hour move right here before we get range bound. And then just straight away from there. Really clean chart on that 15-minute there. Not quite as clean on a 5-minute chart, but also just never has that look like it wanted to give it up either. So, range bound, that range a little longer here. In the 5-minute bars, and then just to grind up the rest of the day, grinding right up that 8 EMA the whole way on a 5-minute chart. So good stuff from that there. And again, I see a few people coming in, coming out. So, it's a live forum, it's an open forum, live Q&A. So if you have questions, how to build something, how to look at something, how to display something, anything like that, please fire away. It's always much nicer when you guys are helping create the content with your questions here for me. Take a look at something I got in a few days ago, BLU. Put an order to sell some here. See if we can't tag that order before the end of the day. Got almost right to it right there. And if you ask where I'm finding something like that, I got that from our TI Strength Alerts window. It was on here a few days ago, actually. Right here, BLU. and actually had it at I think 403 maybe. Excuse me, 603 is the price that day. I took a shot here at 610. Not sure why it's not showing on my chart right now, but yeah, I got in. Yeah, the update is that it's just not great. Back tests well because it was optimized for those days in the history, but the optimization hasn't helped at all. And we've had enough of an up market that it's still not doing very well. I mean, it has actually a fair amount of alerts in it today, but it just doesn't seem to be looking really good on these alerts. And we take a quick pop through them, but 59.82 right here, and just floundered afterwards. 27.75 here, and just couldn't really get it going. BJRI 35.31. Yeah, again, nothing. And by the time it probably exited here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, exited on this bar, and of course it makes a move afterwards. That move wasn't even anything anyways, because it's caught this at the top of this bar, it looks like, anyway. So another not so great one. So it looks like one of those cases where the optimization was just an over optimize for the past, and really didn't translate to anything here. Gotten this at 20 or 38.29. So this ends up being an all right alert. That was at 12, a little after 12. So somewhere in here it actually did it. What's showing here is because the AI was in this, so that's overriding what my alert is showing. So this ended up all right, but 1 out of 4 so far. 30.85 here, and just a fade all day. 70.64, same kind of thing. 32.58. So you kind of see the theme here. Just doesn't have it. With what's going on now, it's just over optimized for that period of time. So 50.68. This one ends up all right, but again, not really digging the win percentage or the profit factor on this whatsoever. Again, nothing. I'm guessing nothing here. Yeah, nothing here. All right. So this says 1731, and it's going to be exiting in a few minutes. And yeah, it made a run up, but I don't think it would have got out on the on a target hit, and so it moved up and it gave it up. And let's see, CLB. That would just leave my chart. That would be great. And same thing here. So it got in on this candle here and fell immediately. So nope, nothing special, nothing doing. And if run the optimizer, run the back test on it real quick, we can see it just it was really strong, and it doesn't have it for whatever reason now. So you can see the profit factor is so great through here, the win percentage, and then it just starts to drop and never come back again. So it's really well optimized for whatever happened back here with the market. We're not finding any of that same stuff now. So at some point I'll go back to the drawing board with it. We'll see. I'm going to continue to let it run the way it is. It's got this going on here, and it did it here and here before really taking off through there. So we'll see what happens. About 2 weeks into testing it out, so we'll see how it goes. If we look at the daily on it too, the daily is a little discouraging. It's what's more discouraging than anything else. Now you have this big group of losses in here over the recent period of time, where you didn't really see anything like that all through anything else in here. So, and the market's been on the side of this for long enough now that I would have thought we'd see something much better from this here. And this is going to be another losing day coming in here today with that. So it is what it is. At some point, and I have some free time again, we'll be back to the drawing board with it and see if I can make anything work. So that's that. And other than that, kind of quiet around these parts on my particular trading. But again, not a quiet day in the market. All kinds of things going on. Holly, tailed 2 tapes with Holly again today. Moderate profit looks to really be picking up here at the end. talked about this one here in the live Q&A that I did on filling in for Sean earlier today, and I thought, is this going to be a double top or was it going to be a head and shoulders? It looks to be a head and shoulders. So, could have called that chart one way or the other. If anybody could have. And, holding on throughout the day here was a payoff on BJ's. This is the entry on this candle here down here. And it kind of, just around that entry for so long. And then it kind of gave it up. And so you got in the money here, all right, and started to come back. And, realistically, I'd like to say a trader down here is not going to let it come all the way back here if they haven't been holding it all that time. Either way, or maybe you shed some of that position, around here. And it, even looked like maybe that was a double bottom. You got a red bar ignore rate here and you're moving back up to that entry price, but just didn't have it. We came down and banged on that support that was going on today and moved back off it, banged on it, and finally blasted right through it. So the shorts get the win on BJ's today. That becomes your big winner as far as moderate goes. Then you look at something like Snap. And, realistically, you certainly could have grabbed it in here, anywhere in there. You had a few minutes and made a great 5, 10, 15, 20-minute move. And then you had another 5, 10, 15 minutes before it started to really get back down here towards that entry level. So there's a lot of time. How are you managing that trade? Now, Holly's algos didn't manage it so great, unfortunately. It just kind of is what it is. It gives a profit save, but that profit save was way down here. It would have been nice if that profit save had been back up here. So, once again, the man and machine combo looks to be much, much better than an auto trading combo as far as Holly goes with Snap. That's just the way it goes. See anything else? Would you make tweaks to it or just not run it until the market conditions change? I don't think it's going to be really based on market conditions, Perfect Circle. I think starting to tear the scan back down again and starting closer to scratch again might be the way to go. And, I based it off of a filter where I'm trying to find the 8, what am I looking for? The 5 SMA and the 20 SMA. Yeah, the 5 SMA and the 20 SMA close to each other on a 5-minute chart. So it's based around a specific filter. So, that filter just might not have it in it. That's all, you know what I mean? And you can optimize anything and make it look good. It doesn't mean it's going to perform in the future well, because, when you start optimizing and tweaking the way I did, it was looking way back in time. It was looking way back into, into August and July, now into September. And, it was optimizing all that stuff while it wasn't obviously doing anything in the present time. So, it took me, a solid 10 days of really, really getting at optimizing there, a few hours each day. So, it's a lot of time to take out of a schedule. I'll try to do it again. I get on binges once in a while. That was my binge for the time being. And we'll see what happens then. Let's see, Danik, Chris, number of days to hold when back to strategy. I know it's a change the number of trades made. Do you know why this would be? No, I don't. Send it in, Dan. Send it for us to look at here. Trade ideas. Send it in with as much information as you can for me to look at, and I'll take a look at it here. And then I don't know if I believe it was SM that had been in here last week that had an issue with the calendar. I got a bug report that's going to start for that, and I can't make heads or tails of why that would happen to you. HM, I think it was HM. If you're in here, or is it MH? Sorry, forgive me if I get the name wrong there, the abbreviation. And so when I have no more about that, I'll let you know about that. MH I think was actually who it was, not HM. MH. So if you're in here and you hear that, send that in. All right, excuse me. I've sent that in, and Mind Smarter Than Mine will be taking a look at that. All right, so we got 16 minutes and change to market close on a Monday. Looks like we will close at all-time highs up above 455 on the SPY. RSP. Let's take a look at the RSP real quick. hold off on doing any kind of market recap for right now. Again, that's going to go out at all-time highs. Won't close on all-time highs. There's your all-time highs right there, but it's going to close above the close of Friday, it looks like, which was an all-time high closing. So we'll do another all-time high closing right here. RSP is your equally weighted S&P 500. And that's the short and skinny of that real quick there before we dive into maybe a little more of a recap later. And again, if anybody else has questions, open forum. See, it's a small crowd in here. So, if you guys have burning questions about anything, let me know. Happy to go over it. That's what I'm here for. So it's one that I heard Barry shouting about earlier. Not too shabby there. So we get the alert here at 86. So right about there on that candle, give or take, maybe there. All right. I moved all the way back down to 80. So, probably not in much pain, of course, depending on how you share size. And then 1, 2, 3 15-minute bars. Nice move. And you had these, that 15-minute bar to get out before you gave it all back off that alert. So, and, doesn't mean that because it alerted at 86, you had to take it there. You might have waited. You saw this wick. You want to wait. You want to wait. You want to wait. You see, got support here at 80. Started to move back up that way. All right. So nothing you had to jump right on. Scan email about last week. Alerted yesterday at the beginning of the day. Wish I'd taken that now. Let's take a look. BOIO. Well, hindsight trading, nothing better than it. Oh, so it's a natural gas ETF, I guess, right? Yeah, it's leverage too. So you got to always be careful with these leverage things, man. When you're on the right side of it, it's a beautiful thing. And when you're on the wrong side of it, it is painful. And this is going to follow exactly like the Nat Gas chart, UNG. So it's a good way to play the UNG right there. Look at that. Almost the same exact chart. All right. So, you guys have been here long enough to, over the last few weeks, me pounding the table on energy. And, it doesn't mean it's straight up. But, you look at this list again here, pretty energy heavy. You look at this list here, pretty energy heavy. And it seems to be panning out pretty well. It looks like it wants it. It's still got some levels there, the solar sector there. But a chart that I mentioned earlier in the live stream from earlier is RUN. You might want to check that one out. That might be setting up for something nice there. But you got this kind of flagging that's going on here and here. There's your pull. So that's a flag, and that was textbook, that flag. I mean, call that the pull, and we call this a flag right there. Not drawing that very well, but you get the idea. And this kind of hook that it's now doing here. But you got this. This is a big deal because, this was a fake breakout back here, right? This looked like, let's zoom back out a little bit here. And of course, it's all hindsight trading, but, it's what educates us for the future also. So you got this massive run up in the solars, right? And you top out here and you come crashing down here and all right, return to the mean, return to the average, so on and so forth. And you make this move up and you get this nice kind of curling action right there. All right. You get this move up and you get this nice kind of curling action moving up, and that looks like it's ready to go. All right. Now it looks like it's really setting up right here. And it was a completely false breakout, back down into the range. All right. And back into that range. All right. So we got to test this and break that. All right, we test that and break that, then we're looking up at $100 on the TANs, and then so on and so forth, 110-ish, back towards the all-time highs up here. So that's, that's what it kind of looks like to me. You got those false breakouts, but, you can take this like this here. All right. The bigger the base, the bigger the boom, as JC says. So let's see what we got going on here. I think it's set for a breakout. That's my quote unquote opinion, but that does not mean anything whatsoever. my opinion was as right as I'd like it to be, then I'd be buying a yacht, and I'm not. So there it is. EV strength kind of push solar sector. Well, here's the deal with EVs and solars that you could speculate on, I suppose, is both are battery driven. You get these solar panels that bring in all this energy, but that energy's got to be stored, and it's stored in batteries and then pushed back out again. Well, same idea with EVs. It's running on this battery technology and storage and all that. And so, some sympathy plays may be there, I would say. So yeah, that's it's a reasonable leap, if you will, on why EVs and solars kind of trade hand in hand or have very similar things going on. Let's take a look at your battery sector, LIT. Well, lithium more than any, lithium and battery tech. So, and something similar, but not quite, because now we're really broken away here. And we discussed back here, the possibility of this happening, and now it's happened over the last week. Clearly breaking through. But like the solars, you were range bound for a long time. Now this just happens to have broken through earlier. So now are the solars going to follow on a sympathy play? Like I said, it looks poised to do it, in my opinion. And so I don't know really any solars off the top of my head other than this guy right here, Sunrun Corp. And this is something that I've traded on and off for a long time before it made its massive run back. I don't know, whenever it made it last year. I guess last summer when it really went on that tear back here. And that was that. Now this has a lot of similar looks to the tan chart, but it looks like it's started to break out a little bit more than the tan chart already. Again, this is a big level, but to me, another strong day from it. You're up 4.5% right now, $2.50. It's a clean looking chart, a little sell off here at the end, but that looks really clean to me. And so, breaking through this here, you're looking at 60 as the next level. Doesn't mean it gets there, but that's, the next big level of interest. You always have to think about these whole numbers too, especially when you start to struggle. All right. So we got through 54 and we pulled right back to 54 again. 55 will be a challenge more likely than not, and 56 and so on and so forth. They're mental levels. All right. Your position size and all those things accordingly. So Sol, that's actually been coming through. I thought Sol was semiconductor. No, it's been coming through my evening scan. Yeah, semiconductor. So you got two things with Sol on top of everything else. Is semiconductors in China. So how is that going to play out? I'm not sure. I like this chart. I've just been a little more gun shy on my swing trading lately. It just hasn't worked out as well as for me, so I've been taking money earlier. I just banging on this base, and trying to make this move up, and I really like it. I feel like it poked its head on this kind of breakout and wants to start to grind its way towards this $10 range. It's just hard, though, when you see a chart that's this beaten up after this kind of a run up. It's hard to want to get and pull that trigger. There's no massive volume that's coming in, 1.1 mil shares traded in. It's doing right about its normal volume over 10 days right now. So you don't see anything, you look back on these volume candles all back here going into July. There's nothing that stands out. A little more volume recently, I'd say, perhaps, and back here in the summer. And, other than that, got a long bleed now. Does it turn the corner? That's how we find these winners, is when we find the ones that are turning the corner. They're ready. Kind of starts to get, as Steve would call it, bird in the hand look. Like that bird that's ready to take flight. As we zoom in a little bit more, it loses it. We zoom out, it has it a little better. But the way these moving averages start to begin to fan out here, you've got a 20 crossing the 50, so the 50 is going to start to move down in price action. This 8 EMA is kind of cradling it and pulling it up over the last week. You can see that I've got it on my liked list up here. I've had it there for a little bit, just not pulling the trigger on it currently. But we look at these, we put them on different watch lists, however we want to do it. and get ourselves a setup that we like. So let's take a look at iSun. What you threw in there, same kind of thing here. U.S. company, engineering, services. Da, 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 da. So this is more solar, I think, than the other that we just looked at, but same idea on this chart, but this chart doesn't look as nice recently. And this looks like it's a IPO from back here. So that's going to be your IPO and your lifetime high back there. But you know, it looks like it's trying to get through this, 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 and we're falling back down again. That's what it looks like to me right now. So also thinly traded, as I'm just looking at an intraday chart now, looking at this skipping around like this, and 50,000 shares traded today. So yeah, that's not that's something I'd stay right away from, quite personally. But you know, those are also the ones when you take that shot. If you know something about the company, there's something on the chart that you particularly like. You never know. You know, 4 million in the float thing could turn on a dime. It could have its day anytime. So it might be something you put on a watch list to watch moving forward. So we got about 5 minutes and change to market close here. And so one other trade that I took today, kind of floundering around on me. Um, you know, materials have been a strong sector overall. And so I've been traded in and out of this a few times now. And I like that, you know, it's got this room up here. There's not, you know, it's kind of clearing this resistance. And it's got this room up above 12. But it just doesn't want to do it. And so I'd sold it last week somewhere before it collapsed in this range here before it made, and when I say collapse, I mean, it's 20 cents. It's not a collapse, but it just, again, I wasn't letting a winner turn into a loser. I had it at, 1070 and change. So I sold it up here from the other day. I thought today was, here we are. Looks like it's ready to break here on me. I got it on this candle, made this move up to 1120. Think we're going to break out, touching 1120, going to break out, and then it faltered on me. But my stop loss is down here, and so I'm nowhere near it. And I am going to swing this one. We'll see how it turns out. And part of the plan. That's all we can do. Trade the plan, make the plan, execute the plan, trade the plan. That's it. I think the biotech is tough because you've got all this stuff with COVID still, and people want to be a part of all that, and whatever treatments that they're still working on, and some pill, I guess, that's coming out to treat it maybe or something. So I think the focus as far as bio is kind of over in that sector, and it's one of those things that there's so many names and so many different things that are going on there that it doesn't let the sector really go on its own. It's about finding the alpha names in that. The other issue you find with bios is the fact that when they're good, you can wake up on third base, just away from a home run, or 3-run RBI or something like that, however you want to call it for baseball terminology. And then you could wake up and really have struck out, where you can wake up and it's down here. You close out here on a bio one day, and you wake up the next day and you're down here because of some news. So it's one of those tough ones where it's more investing than trading for a lot of it. What do I use for bios? I don't even know anymore. IBB. I think that's kind of the bellwether, right, for bios. Yeah. So same kind of, it's up for its position on the range in the year, not by a ton, but here's where they start on the year. Here's where we are on the year. So we're certainly up. That's one of those ones, big run up, big drawdown, banging on that resistance down there. Couldn't get through it. Makes a move up. So, long-term speaking, got that. All right. Looked like maybe it was going to cup and handle this. False breakout up here. All right. All these levels, they coincide, though. None of that's an accident, I'll tell you that. So this seems to be a very significant level here at that 160 level that it's at right now. I think if it can work its way through this 160, you start to come and meet up with this here. But again, there's so many stocks that are in this that can really play a role in dragging it up or down. And, you're relying on FDA and whoever else to approve things or not approve things. So overall, it's a sector that's always going to kind of move up because there's always new innovations in medicine and tech. Taking a look at a long-term look at this, you're going to find ranges for a long time. Let's even zoom out to a weekly chart. I just feel like it's more of an investor's game here than it is traders as far as trying to match things on the IBB. But, just a steady grind up this whole thing here. COVID happens, all right? You get that V recovery right here, kind of grinding along. You get a big up, you get a big down, you get a really big up, you get a pullback, you get a really big up, you get a pullback, so it looks a lot different on a weekly than it does in here, So, looking at it on a weekly, a lot healthier here. Again, forget COVID. COVID it is what it is. A lot of just lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. COVID happens, right? Now we got to establish a new range, a new base because of COVID, all right? And now we start to look at lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Excuse me, higher lows, higher lows. Saying that completely wrong. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it fight with this 160 level and start to move back up again. That's kind of what that looks like to me. That's what I would look at for biotechs. That's the bellwether right there, as far as I know. REI. That was a trade of the week last week. What happened with it today with Nat Gas? You just can't get above that level right here. On a weekly chart, it looks beautiful. Really poised here on a weekly chart, it looks like, this base. This base. It looks like it's ready on a weekly chart. Just can't seem to get it in gear. Let's come back to a daily. And so, I think the big issue with this one here is look at this really massive run up. And now we're just getting the shorter term moving averages catching it. It still looks like it's ready for me. Like it looks really ready to me. I'm watching. It's on my liked list. Just that massive run up like that, it makes a big difference right there. All right, but even, here on this daily chart, zoomed out a little too much there. There we go. That's what I wanted to look like, Big base, big boom. All right. And you got the horseshoe ups within the horseshoe ups almost too. So no cup and handle going on there really to speak of. But there's just been other nat gas names that have been much better. AR, for example. All right. See, it wasn't quite the same run up that REI had. All right. It had this run up and it got ranged. All right. And it had a run up and we're ranged and we gap up again today. All right. So the sector is money right now. SM, same thing. You're going to find something very similar in SM, almost the same exact drawing for that chart. All right. Another one that I've been in and out of and trading, right? MGY. And the reason I like this one is it's at all-time highs right now. It keeps making new all-time highs. So there we go again. Another one today. All right. And beautiful closing on that too, if I may say. And same thing, it's not that same run that REI had to get the run, right? It catches up. And it's just scaling this EMA, and making this run explodes off it today. Now it's extended. What is extended? I don't know. It's extended for my eye. It might not be extended for someone else's eye. I used this as an example earlier for extended. Zuo, just, look at the way this just keeps going and going and going. How do you know it's going to do that? You don't. It's impossible. But I wasn't going to chase that. I liked it. I was watching it caught it on this day here. And when I say caught it, I mean, it came across one of my scanners to get my eye. All right. And I thought, all right, well, it's going to have to pause and then maybe make a move. There was no pause. It just go for over a week. I just can't chase that. My rules will not let me chase it. So that's my thing with REI. I think, REI looks more similar to this did. Now REI has been sideways a little bit. I think, I'd like to say REI is still ready to make that move, but we'll see. going to need nat gas behind it, and bring up that UNG chart again. Pretty big level here, I would say, on nat gas again. Kind of moving along with this here as the theme for that level. Making a move off that there again. So I don't see any reason why nat gas loses steam at this point unless we get a massive, massive warm winter. And I don't know what anybody's predicting for that. I'm just going to go with the charts for now. So again, I see we've got a little bit more of a crowd in here. Please, if people have questions, fire away for me. It's an open forum. I don't have any content. We chopped away at Holly a little bit here. We talked about Snap. I think we looked at BE. She was double tapping on BE today, so you had breakout long and pullback long. There's 2 buy signals. One of those ones for me, I was actually on my liked list and I pulled it off. I put it on my liked list on this day here. I never did anything with it though. And as it faded like that, I said, all right, well, that's going to probably be the end of it. And I took it off my like list the other day. And of course it does this today. All the same, I'd have never chased it today. That gap up and just being so far from that moving average all day long, it just was never going to be an entry for me. But a solid trade from Holly here, especially off that alert. You get it here. You were up with the money. We discussed this, as I said in the live stream that I was doing earlier. I said back here when it was around 2760-ish or so, I said, looks like it wants 28. I said, I don't know that it's going to get by 28. That looks like it might be a tough number for it. Got the 28. It was just too tough for it to get by that 28 number. So all relative. Whole number is very psychological. Very, very psychological, those whole numbers. Yeah, you're welcome, David. And like I said, I'm no CMT, I'm no expert or anything like that. I just, you start to sit in these chairs and look at screens for a few years, and all of a sudden the charts, they look different. The charts that you look at now will look different 2 or 3 years from now to you. That's just kind of the way it goes. You're trading, your first couple of years of trading will probably adjust over that time, just like me. I think most traders go through that, the learning pains and growing pains of trading. Part of it, knowing who you are as a person makes a difference in trading. So a company that interests me, I put this on my like list a few days ago. I guess that's 23andMe or whatever it is. I think it's like DNA, whatever they do. Find out who your ancestors are. Yeah, that's the right ticker, right company. And so, I like the way that was coming off this setup here. I found it back here on this day. And nice red bar ignore on the daily, and has exploded off it since. Very extended to me at this point, but unfortunately the alert came on late. And what happened with that, why that happened, is this alert window is set that it will not make any alerts till 9:45, 15 minutes after the open. So it needs a new high as the catalyst or the alert. So put in that new high there, pull back, and it didn't make a new high all the way till here again on the day. So sometimes waiting works, sometimes it doesn't. More often or not, for me, it works not jumping in on anything. So it was a decent day from the list off some of these alerts. Some of them gave it up later in the day, unfortunately, but that's your risk management, your trade management. This is something I've been watching. I really like this one. Great move off that 15 break. And, you got 15, 30, 45, an hour. You get range bound. You've got to figure out what you're doing. 8 EMA catching it, and just a nice grind off that 8 EMA on the 15-minute chart all day long. They might. I have no idea. It's very, very likely possible that they do. Who knows? It wouldn't shock me in the least bit. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is in the business of data. Data is the new currency as far as I'm concerned. Not so much on this one, kind of top tick that one. Unfortunately, it looked like uranium set to go again, but not quite ready. We'll see how that plays out in the coming days. The uranium sector overall still looks strong. And, this was a big line to get through. We got through it, we pulled back under it, and now we've gotten through it and we've tested it, and now we're pulling away from it. So We'll see what that plays out in the next coming days. And again, all the alerts that came off this, they come off a curated list, things that I like, that my eye watches. I like a narrow set of data. I don't want to see 5,000 stocks coming through in a day. It's too much for me to look at. I cannot process all that information. So I take what I think are some quality looking setups coming into it, and just a very simple alert window that's attached to those within a window with the symbols list. This looks like it's ready here. Love to get a pause now for maybe me to get entrance in there. And finance, so anybody that's been around for any of these live sessions, I've been banging on the on all the financial sectors. And again, just looking at it again, same thing here. So another good move there from that. A nice alert ends up working out on the day. Got it here on that. It was never really in any pain. And while it's not a whole ton of money that's up there, swinging that into the next day with what the financial sector is doing isn't bad, looking at that 14 range there. So continue up the list. And unfortunately get a top tick on this one. Well, I won't say top tick, but on a 5-minute chart it looks a little better. We get the entry on this candle. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes realistically that you could be in that trade for, with trying to get some money out of it before heading back down, unfortunately. So, mixed results, but the idea is to find setups that are quality. You want to know why I thought this was quality? I knew that CLF had quite a day. Figured this might get a follow-through sympathy. That seemed like a significant range to try to get through. If it could pop through it, I thought maybe it's going to have a little run in it. And that seemed to be the correct call on that today. Careful with earnings coming in the next few days for that. And we're back to Nat Gas again. So this one a little tougher, This is something you've been trading, or, you're bullish on the sector like I am, and you find those right holdings, your position size right for those holdings. These are the things that can pay off when you start to get these moves up here over a couple of days. But with this gap up, just trying to break a range, find a range and break it. Catches the EMA finally, that short-term EMA, and a nice move right there. So, and again, if anybody's got questions, please fire them away for me here. Happy to go over anything. More energy there. People want to take care of their pets, health and wellness for Petco there. Not too shabby there. And again, looking off that, I put it on my list back here. All right. And nice move off that from putting it on my list there. So nothing difficult. What was Tesla moving off? Who knows? Oh yeah, there you go. That must have been at the Hertz order. I completely forgot about that. Because I know they had something with software and they're delaying something. I think there's something with autopilot again and delaying something or not releasing something, but it just seems to be in general bad news for Tesla is good news, or good for price action or whatever it is. So I won't try to overanalyze a cult stock like Tesla. It is what it is. This was a sad state here. But the show's chasing, so I thought, all right, we're going to leave it on the list. It's made this big move up here, but we're coming up to this resistance. Maybe it's going to want to run into it all the way or try to get by it. Couldn't quite get by before it bumped its head right there, 2080. And on the short side, that's as clean of a chart as you get on a 15-minute chart. So it's the way it works. Yeah, the full self-driving, I saw it on Twitter this morning when I was scrolling through before market open, that they pulled something software-wise. But I didn't dive into the article. Anybody that knows me has been in, over the last 6 months or longer, any fill-in sessions that I did on the noon. This is a stock that I've been watching, trading in and out of. Just kind of watching this higher low continue to make moves here like that, there's a very good chance I might take a shot at this tomorrow, depending on how it opens. It's not anything crazy. One on the relative volume, give or take. Almost 2 mil shares traded, so plenty of liquidity in it. We'll see how this pattern kind of plays out into the open tomorrow, but it's definitely on my list. You can see I had a price alert on it, but I just didn't have faith in it getting above this level today. And so no trigger pulled. Maybe it's a pause day after, getting walloped for a few days and trying to bounce back. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there for tomorrow. Might be something for you want to look at. This is the same kind of theme here as what I was just showing with that. Only this one here has started to break down a little bit more, but we'll see. Still got a short float to contend with there. The shorts have been moving out. 2.6 mil shares traded today, a little under 1.5 times its relative volume on the last 10 days. So we'll see. Maybe that's an inflection point of interest. Tomorrow will tell the tale. And once again, I had an alert here. I wasn't confident getting through. It did. So do I wish I was in it going in tomorrow? I do, but I might take a shot at it early in the day tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. And so that's kind of the short and skinny of all those things there. I think all the alerts kind of came pretty early on this. Nice move off that. And so you can see here, when you start to get an eye for things, you start to have, a trading plan and what you like to trade. Today's a day. Now, of course, the market was up. That doesn't hurt. But, the market's up a lot of days. So having that narrowed set of data, definitely helpful. And kind of round them out here. And we already touched on ME. So, some good stuff from that window for me today here. We'll see how, we'll see what the next day holds. So I think we really covered Holly as far as that goes. Sorry, just catching up on some internal chat that's going on here. Make sure that I'm keeping up on what's happening around the world of trade ideas. If there's any questions, please fire them at me. Take a look here. IWM. Curious as what happened with that because it had some bullish compare counts today. And what do you know? Matches up. So my compare count windows, bring those over real quick. Finished the day real strong across the board, both the larger caps and the smaller caps. But this one particularly here, this 2 to 4 billion, was lighting it up early on the day. So thought to myself, odds are I'm going to be looking at a healthy looking IWM today. And we are. And now this has this look like it might be ready to test some all-time highs again. All right. We discussed the bigger the base, the bigger the boom. Let's see. The IWM has been the laggard for a long time again. Generally is. Got all this resistance up ahead, but if it makes a move through it, could look good. Did I cover BKKT? I just talked about it for a brief second. I didn't participate in it today. It's not the kind of thing I participated in. I did, I got involved in FUN, PHUN last Friday. I just took a very small position in the pre-market. I never expected it to do what it did. But I figured lightning does not ever strike twice. So I stayed right away from BKKT. But let's take a look here. Still running after market too, or after hours. Wow. And on a chart, it doesn't look as crazy as it might seem. It makes this gap up, and on a 5-minute chart, it catches that EMA, and it makes a nice run up again. That's definitely good profit if you had it anywhere here off this breakout. And, kind of toes this EMA nice and range bound for a while, and then it starts to get nutty and get this halt. All right, and then it catches the EMA and breaks it real fast, gets right back up on it. and explodes again. So it's news driven. It's got a less than 10 mil float. So it's a nutty stock. It's just not something that I generally like to trade. The only reason why I did fun the other day is the way it was in the pre-market, and it wasn't so far up above anything that it was around 580 when I got in. I felt like the furthest it was going to fall was in the $4 range, and so taking a small position like that, I really didn't have a lot of risk, and I figured the upside was a lot. Um, um, I don't think the consolidation filter will tell you anything that a chart wouldn't tell you. At least with the chart, you can look at volume. Consolidation filter just tells you, it only tells you one part of the story, where a chart tells you different parts of the story. So, they work hand in hand, putting that puzzle piece together. That's what I would say about that. Um, I like consolidation filters. I built a scan a few years ago based on it, trying to find things kind of like this actually. And it was like hit or miss. Some days it shined real well, some days it didn't. So I kind of just left it, and I don't really use it anymore. But like I said, I don't think that a consolidation filter has any information that a chart won't have. But yeah, it's still running. And but I'll tell you what. Looking at that time in sales, it's still not something I want to be a part of. All right. Well, I was watching this for a minute here before I brought it on the screen. It was sitting at 38.10, 38.12, and it was sitting right there, nice tight spread, and it was sitting there for a second. And then boom, all of a sudden explodes to 38.50 and 38.44. And now here it is dropping right back below 38. And, it's just not for me. That's all there is to it. And I, I really appreciate and respect anybody that can trade like that. Just not me. Got to really fit all the bells and whistles for me. So yeah, no, building scans like that though, that's how you end up with the charts like this. The scans tell one side of the tape and the charts tell the next side of the tape, and that's how it goes. So if you had a scan that found something that was in consolidation like this, and you trade stocks that move like this, a consolidation scan like that might have really led you on to something beautiful right there. Obviously, with every scan, there's going to be your winners and your losers, but knowing how to read charts, look at charts, and then, at some point you have to have the guts and pull the trigger. And that's how that goes. No, TI does not have time and sales. That's from IB. This is my IB time and sales, Interactive Brokers. But I watch it, I like to watch time and sales. Sometimes it affects what I'm doing. Sometimes it doesn't. It kind of depends on what the time frame I'm really looking for on a on a trade. I also watch it to watch the spread. So, for example, today, like I said, I got back in SLCA, and the time and sales had nothing to do with me getting in this whatsoever. I got in this knowing that it's not anything that's ripping all over the place or massive spreads. And even if it wasn't, I think at one point it was a 10 or 12 cent spread. I put in an order and got filled down here on the low end of the spread. But what I'm looking at is this in here, that I'm trying to hope to get a piece of this fill. I've gotten a piece of it already. I've traded a few times through here, and I keep closing it. I'll see what it does on the open tomorrow. If it gaps up, which, of course I'm hoping it does. Why wouldn't I? But it can't get through this 1120 area. You better believe I'm going to shed some of it, even if it's only for a few pennies up. I don't like to, I don't like to mess around when something seems like it's stalling out these days. Like I said, months ago, when things were stalling out, they seemed to catch it back up again, and those swing trades were working. And the last few months, they have not done that for me. So, that's kind of that. No, and listen, ask the questions, Perfect Circle. That's why I'm here. I appreciate the questions coming in. Um, you know, that's why I'm here. It's much better. Um, Sorry, so there's just a discussion going on actually about SPYs being all-time high in the IWM, which I was just mentioning before, and that's going to be one of the one of their next tests here. But that SPY, go back to it here. 5% pullback, another 5% pullback down. You had so many people talking about, oh, we're going to crash and we're coming back down and we're testing 400 and whatever else. And I really don't think, outside of something really crazy happening, 400 will never be seen on the SPY again, other than on a chart looking back in history. That's it. If I'm wrong, I don't care. So be it. I don't get paid for my opinion. That's just what the chart looks like to me. It looks like the sellers really tried to come in there, and anybody that got short on the market here, and I know a few people through Twitter and stuff that got real bearish, and they made some money. They also lost some money. They got short in here, and they made a good call here, and they covered here, and then they got short back in here again, and they thought for sure down in here that it was going, and they got their face ripped off there. So Market Explorer, yeah, it's very similar to a top list. It has a lot of similarities. There's one bug in it which is annoying me, and believe me, I am very vocal about this, that when you scroll down on the Market Explorer like this, it's going to pop back up in a second, back up. So that's really annoying and makes it semi-useless unless you're doing something like this, you're expanding the whole thing out. Most of the stuff in the Market Explorer right now is daily charts anyways, or daily chart based, so you can do a good amount of scanning with the Market Explorer list that exists. One other thing I'll throw out there is this comes preloaded pinned. Make sure you unpin that, or you'll do what I did, and I ended up with like 10 Market Explorer windows and didn't even realize it. So you don't want to do that. Plug. All right, so we got a couple of minutes left here. I do have to run out at 4:30, but let's look at Plug real quick. That looks ready to go. You got this ADMA has caught everything. Another strong day, beautiful strong close. You got that to contend with, but I feel like that wants it. I would say that whatever bag holders you got here have begun to have distributed probably enough shares. You probably got people that believe in the company too that are going to accumulate anyways. I like it. Obviously, 35 is a big deal. Couldn't get through it. You get above 35 and hold tomorrow, though. You start to grind your way to 40. That's my guess. Of course, not financial advice, but I like this chart. It looks good. It looks real good. The other thing I'll throw out there is you now have these three moving averages nicely fanned out. So you got an 8 EMA, a 20 SMA, a 50 SMA. This is your position range for 20 days. So it's got a new recent low of 20 days, which is higher than the previous lows. So it's, making a lower low, lower low, lower low. Now it's pulled back up. I like this right here, that move up, and I like that it had that gap, and now it's pulled away from that gap. Again, 35 seems to be a big level because they're, got rejected off 35 back there on last Thursday or Wednesday. I can't even tell. So that's the level, but it looks like a healthy chart. Looks like it's poised. It could do it for sure. And then how do you add custom channels to a docked channel bar? I don't see the gear on the docked channel bar. You can't add custom channels to a docked channel bar. Unfortunately, that's not something that's available yet. The dock channels are, they're a way for people that just want pre-made scans to be able to pop through and have multiple channels open at the same time. So, I got one channel open there. So let's just say I go to that, and then I can open a new channel bar eventually when that loads. Sorry, my machine is being taxed right now. Let's see, I can't close that. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can close right now to speed things up. But so the idea behind the dock channel bars is I have that channel open, and now I can bring over and I can open a second channel, assuming your machine can handle that. So we got Holly open there, and then we've got Alpha Predator open here now, and I can be looking at both these layouts at the same time. And that's the idea behind that. And I can have one on one screen and one on another screen. but there's limitations because of the docking that we couldn't put that in there. That's why also you'll find on the dock channel bar that not every channel is in here because, for example, the Trader's Vault just has way too much stuff in it for us to be able to dock all that. So that's that. That's just the short and skinny on that. Yeah, sorry, I know, bummer. So, all right, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for me. I got, like I said, I have to run at 4:30 today. Anybody that's just joined or joined for the first time today or anything like that, Trade Idea Software. We do a live Q&A. You don't need a subscription or anything like that. We do this every day at 3:30 Eastern. Like or subscribe to the channel here. Barry runs the channel most of the day. He runs at 9 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern. We take a pause for about half an hour on the live stream. I bring it back for an hour to close down the markets. It's free for all forum, so come one, come all, and, bring the questions. Questions, like you said, perfect circle. You're good with the questions, man. Ask away, ask away. If I don't have an answer, I'll be honest. I don't have an answer. That's all there is to it. But I like the questions, They get me thinking. They create content. We learn and grow together. That's the best way to do this. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully I'll see you all back here and maybe a few more tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. And you have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Take care now. Bye-bye.